जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन। यामुनतीरा वनचारी। यामुनतीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन। यामुनतीरा वनचारी। यामुनतीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन। यामुनतीरा वनचारी। यामुनतीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र शतश्री श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 20, The Dynasty of Puru, Text 22. Please repeat after me. Retadhah putrah nayati naradeva yamakshayat tvam cha asya dhata garbhasya satyam aha shakuntala retodhah putro nayati naradeva yamakshayat tvam chasya dhata garbhasya satyam aha shakuntala retodhah putro nayati naradeva yamakshayat tvam chasya dhata garbhasya satyam aha shakuntala retodhah putro nayati naradeva yamakshayat tvam chasya dhata garbhasya satyam aha shakuntala putro nayati naradeva yamakshayat tvam chasya dhata garbhasya satyam aha shakuntala retodhah putro nayati naradeva yamakshayat tvam chasya dhata garbhasya satyamah shakuntala. Mataji. Retodhah putro nayati naradeva yamakshayat tvam chasya dhata garbhasya satyamah shakuntala. Retadhah, a person who discharges semen. Putraha, the son. Nayati, saves. Naradeva, O king, Maharaj Dushmanta. Yamakshayat, from punishment by Yamaraj or from the custody of Yamaraj. Tvam, your good self. Cha, and asya, of this child. Dhata, the creator. Garbhasya, of the embryo. Satyam, truthfully. Aha, said. Shakuntala, your wife Shakuntala. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of ISKCON. Translation. O King Dushmanta, he who discharges semen is the actual father, and his son saves him from the custody of Yamaraj. You are the actual procreator of this child. Indeed, Shakuntala is speaking the truth. Purport. Upon hearing the omen, Maharaj Dushmanta accepted his wife and child. According to Vedic Smriti, Punnamno narakadyasmat pitaram trayate sutaha tasmat putra iti prokta swayam eva Swayambhuva. Because a son delivers his father from punishment in the hell called Put, the son is called Putra. According to this principle, when there is a disagreement between the father and mother, it is the father, not the mother, who is delivered by the son. But if the wife is faithful and firmly adherent to her husband, when the father is delivered, the mother is also delivered. Consequently, there is no such thing as divorce in the Vedic literature. A wife is always trained to be chaste and faithful to her husband, for this helps her achieve deliverance from any abominable material condition. This verse clearly says, Putro Nayati Naradeva Yamakshayat. The son saves his father from the custody of Yamaraj. It never says Putro Nayati Mataram. The son saves his mother. The seed-giving father is delivered, not the storekeeper mother. Consequently, husband and wife should not separate under any condition. For if they have a child whom they raise to be a Vaishnava, he can save both the father and mother from the custody of Yamaraj and punishment in hellish life. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vikasa Swamini Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Vrasharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtrati Deshatarane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karati Vachalam. Retodha putro nayati naradeva kyamakshayat tvam chasya dhata garbhasya satyamaha shakuntala. O King Dushmanta, he who discharges semen is the actual father, and his son saves him from the custody of Yamaraj. You are the actual procreator of this child. Indeed, Shakuntala is speaking the truth. So in this chapter, we are discussing the dynasty of Puru, and here most prominently the narration of Maharaj Dushmanta is what we are discussing now. And this is very similar. Actually, this instance between Dushmanta, it's mentioned Dushmanta here, but in Mahabharata, he's also called as Dushyanta. So in Mahabharata, this narration is elaborated in quite some detail. And this is also the first historical narration that Vaishampayan speaks to Janmejaya in Adi Parva, when Janmejaya asks about his ancestors. So when he asks about the Soma dynasty, this is the first instance of Maharaj Dushmanta or Dushyanta, who is being spoken about by Vaishampayan to Janmejaya. And there vividly some additional details are mentioned. So now Dushmanta, we discussed about the history of King Yayati, and at that time we saw how Yayati was very pious. He was the emperor of the whole world, and Dushmanta is belonging to a similar class, which means to say that he was also an emperor of the whole world. And in Adi Parva in Mahabharata, Vaishampayan explains in quite some detail of how gloriously Maharaj Dushmanta ruled this world. And he was very powerful. We will see, we have seen that Bharat, the son of Maharaj Dushmanta, can tame lions when he was only 6 years old. He can play with them. And Dushyanta or Dushmanta also had that capability. It's mentioned in Mahabharata. Okay, so he was also very strong. And whoever was there in the kingdom, they never deviated from their Varna and Ashrama duties. He made sure that everybody worships Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that way he was a devotee of the Lord. Once he went out for hunting. Okay, these details are there in Mahabharata. Once he went out for hunting, and after hunting, obviously, as it naturally happens, he became tired, okay, and he was hungry, thirsty. And he entered deep into the forest and he came across a huge land where there were no trees, but the whole floor was covered with flowers. Okay, and he understood that this is a very nice ashram of one of the rishis, and he could understand it's the ashram of Kanva Rishi. So, with the desire to meet Kanva Rishi, he enters the hermitage. And actually, in Mahabharata, so many poetical details are mentioned of how beautiful the whole space was. So, he enters the hermitage, and when he does not find Kanva Rishi, he asks who is there. Then Shakuntala comes, and then she greets or she welcomes Maharaj Dushmanta in a very nice manner according to Vedic culture. And Dushmanta, as soon as he saw her, he was captivated by her beauty and wanted to marry her. So these details we have already seen in Bhagavatam. So at that moment, he asked Shakuntala who she is, okay, because he could understand that she does not belong to Kanva Rishi. Because Kanva Rishi was a Naishtika Brahmachari, he never married. So he was a Naishtika Brahmachari, so he understood that this Shakuntala does not belong here. So he asked her, who are you? Why are you here? So Shakuntala replies that she is the daughter of Kanva Rishi. Dushmanta, he starts contemplating, how can it be possible? Because Kanva Rishi is a brahmachari, he does not marry. So how can he have a daughter? Then he asks the same thing, he expresses his doubt to Shakuntala, and Shakuntala replies, once a rishi came to this place, this ashram, and Kanva Rishi, and the same question was asked by him also, and Kanva Rishi then narrates and Kanva Rishi told about me, and that is how I know that, one thing that she tells is, actually I am a daughter of Kanva Rishi, and when Maharaj Dushmanta expresses his doubt, then she says, I am born to Vishwamitra and Menaka, but because Kanva Rishi is rearing me, he is taking care of me, therefore he should also be considered as a father. And I heard this narration when another Rishi came to Kanva Rishi, asked the same question, and Kanva Rishi explained this to that Rishi. So he says, that Vishwamitra was doing tapasya, and at that particular time, Vishwamitra had already obtained the status of a Brahmana. We know the story. He was a Kshatriya, and he desired to get the same position of a Brahma Rishi as Vasishtha was. And Brahmana is like kind of the middle stage, we can say. And beyond that, we have to go further to become a Brahma Rishi. So Vishwamitra had already attained the stage of Brahmana, and Indra was perturbed because he thought that Vishwamitra, being a Kshatriya, his eye is on Indra's post. And he got agitated. So he asked Menaka to go and agitate the senses of Vishwamitra. But Menaka was aware of Vishwamitra's prowess as a Kshatriya also, and as well as when he is doing such intense austerities and tapasya, he has also got this Brahma Tejas, this Brahmanical prowess he has, and is a very powerful person. And if she offends him, then he might curse her. So then Menaka says that you please send some help who can help me in fulfilling your purpose. What was the purpose? Why Indra sent Menaka to Vishwamitra? Because he understood, Indra understands that sex desire in this world is something which cannot be controlled very easily, even for great sages. So whenever this kind of things happen, he used to send out apsaras, right? That happened with Naranayana Rishi also. So he sent Menaka, and Menaka, when she expressed her fear in countering Vishwamitra and going in front of him like this, then Indra sent Vayu along with Menaka for help, and Kamadeva also, so that he can shoot his 4 arrows. So this is very vividly expressed in Mahabharata, and it is said that Menaka, just by her charms, could not have captivated Vishwamitra, but because Vayu was there, she was able to captivate him very easily. And it is explained there that when Menaka came in front of Vishwamitra, and then she started her dance, her anklets and bangles she started to tangle, Vishwamitra could hear it. Okay, but his mind was still not that much agitated. Okay, and when wind blew, and Menaka was wearing only single cloth, and when wind blew, the cloth was blown from her body, and then Vishwamitra could see her without any clothes. And when she tried to cover her body with that clothes, that is what captivated, that's what instilled that seed of that desire The sex desire was instilled into Vishwamitra's heart at that particular moment. So Vayu was actually the agent, the catalyst, we can say, who actually incited that lusty desires within Vishwamitra's heart. So, and Indra knew this, the psychology of all this, like you can see a woman without clothes, but then when she tries to cover herself, then she looks more beautiful. That's the way this whole thing works out. So Vayu was sent and Vishwamitra was captivated. And then he enjoyed with Menaka for quite some time, which passed on just like a day. And then Shakuntala was born. But then Menaka's purpose was fulfilled by this time. And being an Apsara, she did not want to bring a child up. So he just left her on the bottom of a mountain. Vishwamitra left to do his tapasya, and Menaka left to perform her Apsara work, and the child was left behind. So that time, because it was in a forest nearby Kanva Rishi's ashram, there were lots of bushes and trees, and there were lots of animals also there. And so that the child cannot be harmed by those animals, the vultures or kites, it's called as Shakunta. Okay, Shakuna, it's called as Shakuna in Sanskrit. The vultures or kites, we can say, these birds protected that child. And Kanva Rishi, when he was passing through that area, then he saw this. And he took that child up and then he brought her up. And because she was protected by these vultures and kites called as Shakunas, her name was given as Shakuntala. That was her name, Shakuntala. Okay. And that's how Shakuntala was brought up in Kanva Rishi's ashram. And when Maharaj Dushmanta heard this, then he could understand that, and he being a we also saw that during Yayati's pastime, that when he desired to marry Devayani, then he had this thought that she is belonging to a Brahmana family and I am from a Kshatriya family, and there should not be any Varna Shankara by our union. So Dushmanta was also aware of it. Okay, and Shakuntala was also aware of it. So when Dushmanta expressed his desire to marry Shakuntala, Shakuntala said, my father will come back in short time, but you please wait for that time. But Dushmanta, he knew that because Vishwamitra was a Kshatriya before, and he has not yet attained his goal of being a Brahma Rishi, so she actually is belonging to Kshatriya clan itself. That's how Sukshma Dharma works. So he could understand that. So our union is not prohibited in Shastra, but still, if you have this doubt, when Kanva Rishi comes, then you can express this to him and then he will take care of it. He will give a proper blessing. This is what Dushmant was expressing to Shakuntala. So Shakuntala also agreed, and they have this Gandharva marriage, which we have already discussed in Bhagavatam. And they married, and Dushmanta had union with her only once, and Shakuntala got pregnant. After that, Dushmanta, he told Shakuntala that I will come with 4 Akshohini of army and take you as soon as your son is born. And with that promise, he left. Okay. And Shakuntala was very happy with this union because Maharaj Dushmant was a great king. He was the emperor of the world. And she was happy. But also in her mind, she was also perturbed or disturbed a little because she did this without the express approval of her father, which in this case is Kanva Rishi. So actually in Shastra, there are 3 types of fathers which are mentioned. One who bears, or one who is the actual reason of the child, who gives the seed to the mother, and one who takes care of the child, and one who feeds the child. These are 3 types of father. So here, Kanva Rishi, he has taken care of the child and he has fed her also. So that way, he is also the father of Shakuntala. So Shakuntala, without her father's permission, has engaged in this particular act. So she was a little bit disturbed. And Kanva Rishi, when he came, he understood what has happened because he had that power. And Shakuntala, he told Shakuntala that I understand that you and Dushmant have got married in Gandharva style, and this is approved of me because you could not get a better husband than Maharaj Dushmanta. He is the emperor of the world and he's a very exalted and pious personality. He's a devotee of the Lord. So you will not get a better husband than him. So I approve of this union. And you should not be disturbed because you have been brought up as a Brahmana that there will be a question of Varna Shankara. And he gave specific benediction to Shakuntala that the son who will be born of you will not be a Varna Shankara, but he will be a devotee of the Lord. And he will continue the dynasty of Maharaj Dushmant. And actually, one more thing is, before Shakuntala accepted the proposal of Maharaj Dushmant, she gave a condition that the son who will be born of me should become the next emperor. And Maharaj Dushmant should agree to that. So she was very particular about it. So, and Maharaj Dushmant, obviously, he agreed to that. And Kanva Rishi also approved of it. But then time passed, 6 years passed, and because this child could do or could subdue every, not even the lion, but also elephants, buffaloes, wild buffaloes, and so many animals he could subdue. He could play with them, he could tie them up on his will. His name was given as Sarva Damana. Sarva means all, Damana means one who can control. So Sarva Damana means one who can control everybody. So his name was Sarva Damana first, and then later on his name became Bharat. So when Sarvadaman was exhibiting all his strength, then Kanvarshi decided now it's time for him to go to Maharaj Dushmant, because Maharaj Dushmant was actually supposed to send this Rakshavani Sena to bring Shakuntala back, but he did not. And the reason, I think we have already discussed, that Maharaj Dushmant, see, he has to set an example for his citizens. Okay, he has to set an example for his citizens, and he cannot just accept anybody as his son. And if he does that, then the citizens will also follow his example, and there will not be a process of marriage, because the marriage that happened between Shakuntala and Dushmant, there was no witness. The witnesses were there: sun, moon, dharma, and the Supreme Lord in the heart, the four directions, like that. But then these are not physical witnesses who can come and say that, okay, this is the marriage that has happened. So Dushmant was kind of withdrawn. He did not want someone to doubt that because he liked this woman, therefore without following the proper process of dharma, he has injected his semen in her and he has got a son, and now he's claiming this son, although qualified, not qualified, is the next emperor. So he did not want all these disturbances to enter into the mind of his citizens. So he did not go. He did not go to Shakuntala at all. After Sarvadaman became 6-year-old, and Kanvarshi gave his express desire that they should move to Maharaj Dushman's place, which is in Hastinapur. So his capital was in Hastinapur. So she came there, and then Maharaj Dushman, he said, I do not know who you are. Okay, I have never seen you. I do not know who this child is. And why are you coming in front of me and telling me that he is my child? So this is like, it's like, I'll not say past times, but this is like his kind of setup through which some higher authority can come and then give evidence, give proof that Shakuntala is indeed the wife of Dushmanta and Sarvadaman is the son of Dushmanta. Although Maharaj Dushmant could understand that Shakuntala is his wife, and he did not forget, he is a pious person. He could understand that, he knows that. But to make sure that everybody is convinced about this, so he did this. It's similar to what Lord Ramachandra did to Sita, this Agni Pariksha. And then when Lava and Kusha had to be accepted into the kingdom, it comes later in Uttarakhanda, when they have to be accepted as the heir apparent or the son of Ramchandra, then Valmiki himself comes. And he has to give that authority. He has to tell that Sita is chaste and she is indeed the mother of Lava and Kusha, and Lava and Kusha are actually your son. And then only Lord Ramchandra could accept him. Similar to that. So then they was accepted. So this is what we are reading here. So once this unembodied voice came from the sky, then now it's understood, because the Akashvani is never partial. Akashvani is impartial. It always speaks the truth. Basically, Akashvani is the demigods speaking. So Maharaj Dushmant accepted his wife and child. Okay, and then, so this is the brief story, this is all the details which are given in Mahabharata. And here specifically, Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse, Punnamno narakad yasmat pitaram trayate sutaha tasmad putra iti prokta swayameva swayambhuva. Because the son delivers his father from punishment in the hell, called Put, the son is called as Putra. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada also writes, the seed-giving father is delivered, and the storekeeper mother, he says, right? This storekeeper mother. Now, this is something which we have to understand. In the Shastra, this is explained in terms of Kshetra and Bija. Okay, Kshetra means field, where crops are cultivated. And Bija is the seed. So the wife or the mother or the woman is considered as the Kshetra, as the field. And the father or the husband, he sows the seed, which is born as a child, into that field. And when the seed is sown, and then the soil and water and sunlight, it cultivates that seed, and finally it grows as a crop, which is the result, or which is the output of the seed which was sown by the husband inside the mother. So that's why woman is considered as kshetra, and the father is called a seed-giving father. Aham bija pradapita, Krishna also says that he is the seed-giving father. So father is the one who gives the seed, and kshetra or the field is the mother. And here also Srila Prabhupada writes that the seed is most important. Okay, so seed-giving father is important, and that is why the crop actually belongs to the father and not that much to the mother. We will discuss this. Okay, it's kind of this sukshma dharma. There are several things which we have to understand. We'll see how much we can do. So the seed is important. Okay, and in Manu Samhita, there's a whole section in the 9th chapter of Manu Samhita. Whole section describes all these details. To whom does the child belong? Does it belong to the father? Does it belong to the mother? Does it belong to both? Or what exactly is the understanding when the seed is given to the kshetra, to the mother? And the explanation goes like this. It is said the seed is most important because if you see, even for vegetables and other things and crops, the seed, based on the seed, the crop grows. If you put some brinjal seed, brinjal will grow. If you put chili seeds, chili will grow. It's not that whatever you put, only sand or only the soil comes out or water comes out. The seed is most important, and the child, when he grows, then the qualities are that of the father. The qualities that come out from that crop are that of the father because the seed is given by the father. Therefore, the child belongs to the father. Okay, so this is what is explained. And we can also see this in Shastra that Vyasadeva, when he was begotten by Parashar Muni to Satyavati, then Vyasadeva did not get the qualities of Satyavati, but actually he got the qualities of Parashar Muni, and he became a great Brahmana. And similar instance is also mentioned in Ramayana, where Rishyashringa, it's a very unique story how Rishyashringa was born. His father was Vibhantaka, or is also called as Mrigarishi. He once saw this Apsara, Urvashi, and then captivated by her beauty, he discharged semen in a river. And a deer, a female deer called as doe, she came and she drank that semen from the water, and then she became pregnant, and then she delivered Rishyashringa. Okay, so we see, the deer is not a human being, it's a deer, but the child that she delivered is actually a human being. And Rishyashringa has a horn like that of a deer. So some other qualities also came in. But then he was a human being and he got the qualities of a Brahmana, his father, Vibhandaka. Okay, that is also mentioned. And famously in Bhagavatam also, in 6th canto, it's mentioned that Kashyap Rishi is the father of all the species of life in this world. So I'll just read this. It's in 6th canto, 6th chapter. Shukdev Goswami speaks to Parikshit and he says, "Please hear from me the names of Kashyapa's wife, from whose womb the population of the entire universe has come. They are the mothers of almost all the population of the entire universe, and their names are very auspicious to hear. They are Aditi, Diti, Danu, Kashtha, Arishta, Shurasa, Ila, Muni, Krodhavasha, Tamra, Surabhi, Sarama, and Timi. From the womb of Timi, all the aquatics took birth." Okay. So now these women are human beings, correct? They are all human beings. But Kashyapa Rishi had the potency to give the bij or to give the seed in semen such that all the species of life can be populated. So from Timi, all the aquatics were born. And from the womb of Sarama, the ferocious animals like the tigers and lions took birth. From the womb of Surabhi, the buffalo, cow, and other animals with cloven hooves took birth. From the womb of Tamra, the eagles, vultures, and other large birds of prey took birth. And from the womb of Muni, the angels took birth. The sons born of Krodhavasha were the serpents known as Dandashuka, as well as other serpents and the mosquitoes. All the various creepers and trees were born from the womb of Ila. The Rakshasas, bad spirits, were born from the womb of Surasa. The Gandharvas were born from the womb of Arishta, and animals whose hooves are not split, such as the horse, were born from the womb of Kashtha. O king, from the womb of Danu came 61 sons, of whom these 18 were very important. And then Dvimurdha, Shambhara, Arishta, Hayagriva, Vibhavasu, Ayonmukha, Shankushira, Swarbhanu, Kapila, Aruna, Puloma, Vrishaparva, Ekachakra, Anutapana, Dhumrakesha, Virupaksha, Viprachitti, and Durjaya. These are all the demons, the Danavas, And we have seen about Vrishaparva, who was the father of Sharmishtha. He was the father of Sharmishtha. So Sharmishtha's grandfather is Kashyapa, and her grandmother is Danu, and Danu's son is this Vrishaparva. So like this, the dynasty goes on. And we have also seen Kashyapa also had two wives, Kadru and Vinata. And Vinata, she bore Garuda and Aruna, who are both eagles, or who are birds. Okay, but Vinata was a woman, a human being. But then because Kashyapa had that potency to give that seed, so that way, the birds were formed. And from Kadru's womb, serpents or snakes were born. Okay, so these are all the details which are given. And it's mentioned that therefore the seed is very important. Okay, but on the other hand, we also see the example of the sons of Ambika and Ambalika. Right? In Mahabharata, it is mentioned that Satyavati had two sons from Maharaj Shantanu. One was Chitrangada and another was Vichitravirya. Okay, Vichitravirya had, Chitrangada was killed by a Gandharva whose name was also Chitrangada, and because he was envious of Chitrangada, the son of Satyavati, because he shared the same name, and whenever Chitrangada was being spoken of, it was Satyavati's son who was being spoken of because he was very famous. So this Gandharva Chitrangada, he became very upset with that, became very envious. So they had a big fight, and this Chitrangada, son of Satyavati, was killed by him. And he satisfied and he left. So Chitrangada is gone. Then Vichitravirya got married to Ambika and Ambalika. Amba was also bought, but she did not get married to him. That's a different story. So Ambika and Ambalika were married to Vichitravirya so that the dynasty can be propagated further. But what happened? Vichitravirya got a disease, tuberculosis it said, and then he also left. So Ambika and Ambalika were without any sons, and the great dynasty, the Kuru dynasty, did not have any descendants. So at that point, Satyavati actually petitions Bhishma to break his vow and then beget children from Ambika and Ambalika, because Devarena Sutotpatti was allowed. The child, if a mother becomes a widow, or rather a wife becomes a widow if her husband dies, then it is allowed in Shastra, in Satya, Treta and Dwapar, not in Kali Yuga, to get a child from the younger brother or elder brother of the husband. Okay, this is according to Dharma Shastra. So that was allowed. So now Bhishma is the eldest, is the strongest, and is the most qualified person. Now, who can be more qualified than him to have a child, to give children or propagate the dynasty through Ambika and Ambalika? But Bhishma is firm in his vow. That's why he's called as Bhishma. He's firm in his vow. So he said, no, I will not do that. And then he gave a solution. He said, I understand that you also had a son from Parashar Rishi, and he was Vyasadev. So why don't you call Vyasadev, and he will beget children? So Satyavati calls Vyasadev, and then through Ambika, Ambalika, and one maid servant, Pandu, Dhritarashtra, and Vidura were born. Okay, but here we see Pandu, Dhritarashtra, and Vidura, they did not become Brahmanas. Right? They did not take the qualities of Vyasadev. But in fact, because they had to propagate the dynasty, they took the qualities, or they took the lineage of Kshatriyas, and they propagated their dynasty. Pandu had 5 sons. That's another story, different way. And Dhritarashtra had 100 sons. And Vidura, he served Pandu and Dhritarashtra in a very nice manner. So they continued in their Kshatriya lineage. They did not take up the occupation of a Brahmana. So in one sense, we say that the seed is very important, and we have seen examples of that. But we are also seeing that in such kind of situation, then the seed which is given by Vyasadev was actually, the children did not become Brahmanas. They did not take the occupation of Brahmanas, but they continued. They became exalted Kshatriyas. And it's mentioned in Mahabharata, again, that Pandu was so exalted Kshatriya that he went all over the world and he conquered everybody, and then he became the emperor. Obviously, the Hastinapur kings were emperors, but then Pandu, and time and again, this revolting kings come up. So Pandu went out all over the world and he conquered everybody and became the emperor. So he was a Kshatriya. So how do we understand this? Again, Manu Samhita explains all these points in that section. And it says that when the wife and the husband, when they get married, when the boy and the girl, when they get married, they actually become one. Okay, they become one, and the wife is non-different from the husband. And normally what happens is when they get married, then the husband is the one who gives the seed to the wife. So that way, the child actually belongs to the husband. But in a special case, when the husband dies without giving any child to the wife, then the brother-in-law or the younger brother or elder brother of that husband, then he can have a son, or he can give his seed to that woman, and then a child can be born. And this time, because it is done with authority, with authorization, it is mentioned in Manu Samhita that this cannot be done haphazardly or without any elder's approval. So if a woman desires a child and she does not have a child and the husband has died, then she has to approach her elders on her husband's side. She cannot approach the elders on her mother's or father's side. She has to approach the elders on her husband's side, because the child who will be born will belong to the dynasty of the husband. It will not belong to the dynasty of the mother. Okay, that's why the Gotra, concept of Gotra also comes. So he belongs to the dynasty. So therefore, she has to take permission from the elders of her husband's family. And when they give permission, then this concept or this giving of seed by the younger brother to the wife of the elder brother is possible. It's sanctioned in dharma. And this process is called as niyoga. Okay, this process is specifically named as niyoga in Dharma Shastra. And there are specific rules and regulations through which this niyoga should be taken into, or should be done as a process. Okay, so there are some rules. Now I'll just read some rules and we will see how this niyoga is actually very, very specific. Okay, it does not mean that because the younger brother is giving the seed to the wife of his elder brother, now he can enjoy that woman. That concept was not there at all. Okay. So it's mentioned there that the woman would agree to this process of niyoga, or if he desires a child, not out of any lust or not out of desire for the younger brother, but only to get a child who can propagate the dynasty. That should be the consciousness. The mind should be controlled in such a way that they have only this desire. The child thus born would be considered the child of the husband and not the person from who gave the seed. So although the younger brother gives the seed, but still the child would belong to the husband of the wife who is no more. Okay, so that's what it is. So although we say the seed is important, but then when it comes to this process of niyoga, it does not work out that way. Because the wife, during the Vivaha Samskara, she actually belongs to the husband. Actually, in Vivaha mantras from Rig Veda and Samaveda, when we recite the mantras, the husband specifically recites this mantra. It's there in Rig Veda. So it says that when this girl child is born, she actually belongs to, first she belongs to Soma, the moon god. And that continues for the first 5 or 6 years. And when a girl child is there, then she's very pleasant, just like the moon. And she's very playful also. And then after that, then she's given in the custody of Gandharvas. So we'll see in the qualities of girls also, they like to dance, they like to sing, they like to decorate themselves. So because they are under the jurisdiction of Gandharvas, they develop all those qualities. And when a girl attains puberty, then she is given in the charge of Agni, which means the fire is within her, where the desire is there to propagate children, to produce children, to have children. So then she comes to the jurisdiction of Agni. So we know that demigods control us in various ways. But for a girl child, this is how it goes. From Soma, she's transferred to Gandharva, from Gandharva to Agni, and the husband or the boy who's getting married to that girl, he recites this mantra and he says that now, oh dear Agni, you please give this woman in my custody. So when a wife or when a girl gets married to a boy, then she is not under the control of the demigods anymore. She's completely under the control of her husband. Okay, so that's what it is. So the wife totally belongs to the husband. The kshetra now belongs to the husband. And whatever is sown in the kshetra, that also belongs to the husband only. Specifically when we are speaking about this process of niyoga. So what it means is, when this process of niyoga is taken care of, the seed, although the seed is given by the younger brother, or the elder brother of the deceased husband, but because the wife belongs to her husband, the child also belongs to the husband only. Okay, so this is the practice which is being followed. And the appointed man or the person, the younger brother, would not seek any parental relationship or attachment to the child in future. He's not allowed. In one sense, it is said that the younger brother, for elder brother's wife, the younger brother should see the wife as his elder. Okay, and when this the elder brother and younger brother has died, then the elder brother should see the wife of the younger brother as his daughter-in-law. But only during the time of niyoga, this particular relationship is not followed. But as soon as this niyoga is complete and the girl or the woman is pregnant, then again the relationship switches back to daughter-in-law. And if he continues with that kind of illicit desires, then he is considered as an outcast. So he does not belong to any Varna Ashrama community anymore. If he engages in this activity again, although the woman has born a child, then he is considered as outcast. And if the woman cultivates such a desire, she is also ostracized from the family. Okay, so this Varna Ashrama institution was so strict that although this allowance was there to bear a child so that the dynasty can be propagated, but still, no, if there is even a tinge of sexual desire in any of their minds, then they become outcasts. They are thrown out of Varna and Ashrama society. Okay, so this was there. And to avoid misuse, a man was allowed only 3 times to undergo. Means he can have sexual contact only 3 times. Okay, and there will be, okay, this one thing is very important. When they have this niyoga, when they have this union, the bodies of both the girl as well as the boy is completely smeared with ghee or oil. Okay, it's completely smeared with ghee and oil. Okay, and this is not very conducive for any kind of pleasure activities between the boy and the girl. Okay, it's kind of explicit, but then that's how it is. To stop any kinds of desire entering into the hearts of both the girl and the boy, it's a must, it's a regulation that their bodies will be smeared with ghee or oil so that they do not cultivate any kind of desire. And the only reason why they engage in this niyoga is just for the propagation of the dynasty or to fulfill the desire of the woman to have a child for her husband. And as Prabhupada mentions here, a son is required so that he can deliver the father from this hell called as Put. So this is the desire of the wife also, that her husband should be delivered. In case if he has done some sinful activity, then he should be delivered, right? So for that reason, she desires a son. And this son then belongs to the wife and belongs to the husband of that wife and not to the brother-in-law. And that way, when he performs the Shraddha ceremonies or the Pindadana, then the husband, if he is in hell, called as Put, he will be delivered. So he is called as Putra. Although he is born from this principle of Niyoga, but still he is called as Putra only. Putra of that husband, of that father, right? So yes, so this, this is what it is. So that's why Srila Prabhupada says here that this is all according to Manu Samhita. I was going through this, while preparing for this, I was going through this section of Manu Samhita, and all these things are very explicitly mentioned. It is said that the child belongs to the father if the seed is sown into a woman. Although the seed is most important, but still the child of that woman actually belongs to the husband if she is married. And it is also mentioned that this child cannot, or the seed cannot be sown into that widow from anybody. It should be either the brother-in-law, elder brother, or the younger brother, or it should be a sapinda. Sapinda means one who belongs to that gotra. Okay, and that too, he should be of the same age or elder to that woman. He should not be younger to that woman. Okay, so all these rules are there in the concept of niyoga. And that is why it is said that the seed is very important and the mother is just a storekeeper. And Srila Prabhupada writes here that this is the reason why a woman, she is completely under the shelter of her husband, and if the husband leaves, then she is under the shelter of the family to which the husband belongs. And whatever needs she has in terms of clothing or her bodily necessities, they are all taken care of by the husband's family, and even the desire to have a child is also taken care of by the husband's family itself. So a woman is completely dependent on her husband and their family after she got married, because she is not under the jurisdiction of the demigods also. She is completely under the shelter of her husband. And this is one of the reasons why there is no question of divorce. Because when the husband has taken charge, when the Vivaha mantras are chanted, the husband has already taken the jurisdiction of the wife, then how can she disassociate herself from the husband and move to somebody else? Even if she moves to somebody else, then she still belongs to the husband only. So she's actually engaging in prostitution. So when she does divorce, when divorce happens and the woman goes to another man, then she becomes a prostitute because she's still under the control of her husband, the first one whom she got married to. So that's why divorce is completely rejected. And even from a higher point of view, it is said, now as Prabhupada writes here, Putra is one who delivers the father from the hell called as Put. And if the wife is completely dedicated to the husband, then she also gets delivered from whatever sinful reactions she has committed, because she is dedicated to her husband. That is why Prabhupada always stressed, that for women, chastity is the most important religious principle. And if she's chaste, then she can come out, she'll become extremely pious. Her piety is decided on how chaste she is to her husband and not on any other activities. Of course, from devotional point of view, it's a different concept, so I'll not get into that because we'll stick to this topic. So husband and wife, you should not see them as economic units or units of sense gratification. It is a modern day concept, right? The girl is with the boy only because he provides her, or he gives her enough independence so that she can live on her own. This concept is very prominent, that the girl is independent, the boy is independent, they come together so that they can enjoy with each other and they can share whatever they can provide each other. But this kind of concept is completely bogus. The Shastras completely rejected, Dharma Shastra, Manu Samhita completely rejected. The wife should always be under the shelter of her husband, because that is what it is. And the husband should take care of the wife. So the husband should not see the wife as a unit or as a machine for sense gratification. At the same time, the woman should not see the husband as someone who can provide all necessities for me and I'll become independent from him. Because there is a concept of higher life, this concept of next life. But because in modern day, these things are not trusted, so therefore everything is going into chaos. But Shastra, this particular verse itself, Prabhupada writes about this. Actually, if you see, this translation does not speak about the relationship between the husband and wife. But Srila Prabhupada specifically mentions this here, that the husband is the the seed-giving father is delivered by the putra, and the wife is just left alone. It looks like that. It's so unfair. But then the wife's duty is to become chaste to her husband. That is her duty. And if she does that duty properly, then she is also delivered properly. Okay, so that way the seed is important. But the mother, for her to get into that benefits of having a child, the only thing that she has to do is to become chaste to her husband. And then she can also be saved, right? Prabhupada writes here. If they have a child whom they raise to be a Vaishnava, he can save both the father and mother from the custody of Yamaraj and punishment in hellish life. So therefore, this is important. Okay, so these are some points. I'll stop here. So if you have any questions, you can take that. Yes,
It's mentioned that Dushmanta completely forgets Shakuntala.
Yes.
So what is this? Can you explain that?
Yes, yeah, in Bhagavatam it is mentioned. I also read that. But in Mahabharata it's mentioned different way. Okay, in Mahabharata it's mentioned that he understood. And here also, if you see, I'll just...
Because at the same time, Prabhupada is in the purport, he's saying he's fully aware of,
Yes.
her position. So it
Yes.
appears like apparent contradiction.
Yes. Yeah, I'll just see the translation, if we can find something here. Yeah, actually in the translation, it's not mentioned that way. In the forest, Kanva Muni performed all the ritual ceremonies concerning the newborn child, and the boy became so powerful to capture the lion. Shakuntala, along with her son, who was experienced Dushmanta, okay. When the king refused to accept his wife and son, who were both irreproachable and an unembodied voice spoke from the sky as an omen and was heard by everyone present. So actually in the translation, it's not mentioned.
In the summary, it is there.
In summary, is there. So
I was just a little curious, wanted to know what it is.
I don't know how to resolve this, because the verses of Bhagavatam do not speak about it, and even the purport Srila Prabhupada did not speak like that. So I think we should go with what the verses and purport says. So I think that's done.
Just have another question.
Yes,
regarding this. We're speaking about Vainata's two sons, Aruna and
yes, Aruna.
Aruna and Vinat and who was
Aruna and Garuda.
Garuda,
These
yes.
are two sons of.
So Aruna is easy, but he was a chariot driver of sun god.
Yes,
right?
Aruna became the chariot driver of.
But he doesn't
Surya.
have. Does he have a body of a?
He has half body. What had happened was Kadru bore sons. The serpents were born from Kadru, and she gave birth to the serpents before Vinata. Vinata was already pregnant for 500 years, but still, and she delivered 2 eggs. Okay, and the eggs were not hatching, or nobody was coming out from the egg. And she had that, womanly nature is there, just like Gandhari had the womanly nature. When Kunti had a child, then Gandhari, she was also pregnant, but she was pregnant for 11 months, but still nobody came out. So she hit her womb, and the lump of flesh came out, and then all the 100 sons were born like that. So that mentality, that woman's mentality was there. So Vinata was also perturbed because Kadru, she saw Kadru as her competitor. So when Kadru had children and Vinata did not, no child was born. Only eggs were born, but they were not hatching, they were not coming out. So she broke the egg, one egg. And Aruna, his body was not completely developed. Only half of his body was developed and half of his body was not developed. So that is when he cursed Vinata, saying, because you were not patient enough, you do not have enough affection for your child, you were not patient enough, therefore you will become the slave of Kadru, and that is how it will be. So when Vinata, then she petitions Aruna, then he says, your other son, if you let him have his time so that he can come out properly, he will become the cause of your deliverance from the slavery to Kadru. And then Garuda was born after 1000 years. And then Garuda became the reason how Vinata was delivered from the servitude of Kadru. These are explained in Mahabharata in quite some detail. Yes. Okay. Yes, bro. Yes.
I heard that it is Manu Samhita that if the father and mother does not beget a male child,
Yes.
have a daughter,
Yes.
then to deliver that particular father,
Yes.
daughter has to beget a male child, and that particular male child can deliver the father.
Yes. Yes.
But we hear in Manu Samhita that okay, the putra belongs to the father, not the mother,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And in this case, now mother's father,
Yes.
that particular grandson has to deliver mother's father.
Yes.
But then he is belonging to a father, not
Yes.
to the mother.
Yes.
Then how that is?
Yes, how that works. Yes. Yeah, logically, if you try to understand, it's difficult. Actually, a son delivers the father, okay, and the forefathers also. When he does his tarpana and pindadan, he does it for 3 of his ancestors: his father, his grandfather, his great grandfather, like that. Okay, after the father has passed away. But now, practically speaking, there are several situations where the father may not beget a male child. Okay, and that would seem very unfair. That because it is not actually in his hands to decide what will be the gender of the child. Okay, so then it would, because we can say his karma is like that, so therefore he is getting a daughter, but he is not getting a son. But then the Shastra also gives provision to that, saying although the daughter's son belongs to that daughter's family to whom she is married to, but still he has enough qualification that he can do tarpana or he can do shraddha for his daughter's father, and that way it can be done. And actually, Manu Samhita, it's mentioned that it's not in every case it is like this, but then the daughter or the daughter's son should be, there's a specific process, I don't remember the exact word, that either the daughter's family should agree to this particular proposal, something like this, or the daughter's husband should agree that the son who will be born of me will be can do the tarpana for my father also. This is there. This is actually there in, I don't exactly remember, it's there in Ramayana or Mahabharata where something like this happens. I'm not able to remember that instance. Where the daughter's son, then he delivers the daughter's father. No, maybe the Mahabharata boys, if they can remember, they can tell me, because it's completely out of my mind. But that instance is there in Shastra where this happens actually. It's there. So, yeah, this is something which you have to look back.
There is a question from one of the Gurukuli boys. If you can
Ashtaka.
answer.
Okay, Ashtaka was? Ashtaka Madhavi. Yes, this is one instance that Yayati, okay, when he fell down, actually, yes, that's good. So this is the instance. In Mahabharata, Yayati is mentioned that he was in the heavenly planets, okay, and because he was very proud and he spoke some proud words to Indra, Indra then told that you do not belong to this heavenly planet, and he starts falling down. And Yayati had a daughter whose name was Madhavi. Okay, Madhavi was not born from either Devyani or Sharmishtha. Okay, she is that Madhavi was born from? Anyways, I don't remember that exactly. But Madhavi was the daughter of Yayati, and Madhavi had 4 sons: Shibi, Ashtaka, and 2 more sons. Okay, so when he falls down to earth, or when he's falling down to lower condition, then Ashtaka, Shibi, Madhavi, and the other 2 sons, they give their share of pious activity and they deliver Yayati they reinstate him again to heavenly planets. So that way they stop him from falling down into lower condition, and then they reinstate him, although it is not coming in the line of Yayati. It's Yayati's daughter's sons. So they deliver Yayati in that way. It's there in Mahabharata like that. So Dharma Shastras give that provision. So that is there, yes.
Okay, one of the Gurukuli boys have a question here.
Yes.
If the wife dies
Yes.
and the husband leaves, so how the dynasty will be expanded?
No, it will not expand. That's why if the husband leaves, then there's no expansion from him, right? He's the
No,
seed-bearing father.
If the wife dies
Wife dies, yes.
and husband is there, husband leaves.
Yeah, to propagate
So
the
how-
dynasty, he has to marry
Yeah.
again. Yes, so he has to marry again to propagate the dynasty. A male can have multiple wives, so that is there. So he can marry again. Yes. Okay, anything else? Yes, bro. There's one thing, just one point. No, this Kali Yuga is prohibited because one cannot have pure desires. And then that's it. No, so it's Devarena Sutotpatti is Varjita. No, it's done. No, it's not allowed. It's not allowed at all in Kali Yuga. Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Yes. 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 Yes.
By the husband.
Yes.
But Prabhupada also says after old age she is taken care of by her son.
What is that?
After old age,
After old age?
she,
Yes,
women
she's
is
taken
taken care of by
Yes.
the son.
Yes.
So if
The wife belongs to the husband.
wife belongs to the husband,
Yes.
so and if the husband leaves, like if
Yes.
he takes sannyas or if he leaves,
Yes.
then
Yes.
if the son can deliver the mother,
Yes. This we have seen in third canto also, when Kapil and Karda Muni leaves and Kapil Dev delivers Devahuti. And the son is considered as non-different from the father. This also comes in Manu Samhita, that when the father begets child from the womb of the mother and the son is born, the son is actually non-different from the father. So the woman has basically 2 people. No, the son, because he's non-different from the father, the son can deliver the mother the same way as the father can deliver the mother. This is non-different. It's like the father expands as the son. Just like the Lord expands, the father expands as the son through the womb of his mother. So the mother actually sees the son as an expansion of her husband. So that's why the woman always desires for a son for that reason. Because she sees her husband in her son. Okay, means as an expansion, as one whom she can give her affection to. So the father actually expands as the son. So this is the Shastric understanding. That's there.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
We can also see in the case of Dhruva Maharaj that he had delivered his mother also.
Yes.
But my question is, I read where Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the purport that the son cannot deliver his mother.
Yes, the son cannot deliver the mother if she is not chaste. So that's the condition, no? That's the condition. If the mother is chaste, then the son can be delivered. And when she is chaste, when she is under the protection of her husband, when she is young, and when the husband leaves and she is under the protection of her son, then her chastity continues that way. So that way the mother can be delivered. But then if she leaves the husband for somebody else, then the son cannot deliver the mother. Because she is not under the protection of either the father, her husband, or the son. So how can she be delivered, right? So she has moved on. So she cannot be delivered by the son that way. So this is the condition. Only when she is under the protection, she is chaste, then she can be delivered. Otherwise not. No. Yes, Prabhu. Yes. In Pandava's case. Yes. What's the question? Yes. Okay, Draupadi got married to 5 husbands, so how can we understand that she is chaste? Okay, it's a different topic. Actually, it's a benediction which was given to Draupadi, and it was decided by higher authorities. So higher authorities are those who can, who, if there is even it's a transgression of some dharma, because it is coming from higher authorities, great rishis or demigods, therefore it is accepted. And Draupadi desired, it is in Mahabharata. Draupadi actually desired 5 husbands who have 5 best qualities. And Lord Shiva said, because these 5 things, these 5 qualities cannot be found in one person. It's not possible in this material world, therefore you will have 5 husbands. And Draupadi also asked Lord Shiva 5 times, I want a husband, I want a husband, I want a husband, I want a husband, I want a husband. So Shiva asked 5 times, you want a husband with these 5 qualities also. These 5 qualities cannot be in one person, so therefore you have 5 husbands. And because it's authorized by Lord Shiva, therefore it's accepted. That's all. And this is also done in the case of the Prachetas. Right? I think Prachetas got married to one woman, one wife. So that was also authorized by Lord Brahma, I think. Brahma, right? Yes, Lord Brahma authorized that. So when it comes from an authority, it's accepted. But then we do not claim ourselves as an authority and do some nonsense. Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
Only because the woman, the wife, thinks that my husband is a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because she worships him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then only this mechanics works. But she simply is attached to that being chaste, just like I'm chaste to a husband. But she doesn't look into him that he's a representative of Supreme Personality of Godhead. May not work. This is what I'm trying to understand. How this is mechanics is
so
working.
if for the wife, she may not know. She may not know who is the Supreme Lord, or whether the husband is representative of the Supreme Lord like that. But if she's chaste to her husband, it will still work. Okay, she may not be a devotee. Her husband may also not be a devotee. But if she's chaste to her husband, she will get the pious credits that is due to her. Okay, even if the husband is not a devotee, and even if she does not see him as a representative of the Supreme Lord. Because it's dharma, okay, because it's dharma, it's a rule set by the Lord, and the dharma, or the question of chastity, is like this. And we have seen it in the Shastra also, although the woman may not see her husband as a representative of the Supreme Lord, only because she is chaste, she gets the pious credit for that. Okay, when we speak about the husband being a devotee, and the wife seeing the husband as a devotee of the Lord, as a representative of the Lord, and she serves them, and everything is done nicely, then they go back to the spiritual world. But here we are speaking about pious credits, the going to heavenly planets, going to Pitriloka, like that, within this material world itself. So she will get that, even if she does not see him as a representative of the Supreme Lord, but if she considers him as the master, as one under whom I am protected, I have no other recourse other than my husband, she'll still get the pious credit for that. She'll be within this material world, but she'll get the pious credit for it. Yes.
She'll be delivered from the
She'll be delivered from the hellish situation.
Planets, but
yes.
seated on a heavenly.
She will not go back to Godhead that way. Yes. Yes, okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Premanande.